appreciate it. I'm here with my co-hosts Chris, Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo, and Tim, N9 SAB. And tonight we have a very special guest. I'd like to thank Teri, KO4WFP, for joining us. Teri is also known as the POTA Babe, and we're going to talk with her a little bit about her adventure in ham radio, how she ended up in this hobby, and what she uses, and what her experience has been like. And then after that, we're going to get into a bit of a conversation about Yaesu's new QRP rig. Not available yet, but will be next year. I think that's going to be a really interesting discussion. I'm hoping to get a lot of feedback from you folks on that. Just as we get going here, let's just take a look. We've got the troublemaker from Georgia, Phil. Hey, Philip, great to have you on board. Thank you. Also got James, KI5OEB. Hey, James, I'm not sure I recognize your call, but thank you for joining us, and glad to have you along. All right, let's kick this thing off. Just go around the table a little bit and see what people have been up to. I'm going to toss it over to my friend, Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo. Oh, wait a minute here. Sorry, hang on, guys. We got a flurry. We got Shane, Scout 75. Here's a spoiler alert. Shane is going to join us next month, October, for our stream. Can't wait, Shane. Looking forward to that one. Also got Rob, VE3PCP. Rob, I'm going to be reaching out to you because I think you'd be a fascinating guest going forward. Glad to have you with us. Gavin Deenan. Hi, folks. Gavin, Victor Kilo 2, Yankee Alpha Kilo. Wonderful to have you join us from down under, Gavin. And
right.
Look at this.
He told me a story last week about a friend of his in the antenna. We'll get to it later. How you doing,
Okay.
Gavin? Good day, mate.
Please do. Uwe Meyer, hello from Germany, from Uwe. Hey, wonderful to have you with us. DL6AAF. We got Farm RC. Look who that is. You're not fooling us, Kevin.
Yeah, we know who that is.
Good to have you with us. We got, Rob, RR. Not sure. I'm going to have to get out my decoder for that one. Nice pocket protector, Tim. There we go. Yeah. All right. And James, KC8OPV. Hey, James, thanks for joining. Okay, what do we got here? Whoopsie. Sorry, wrong channel. I'll be right back. K0KLB is that man, by the way. And If you haven't checked out Kevin's channel, K0KLB, you have to. He has got some incredible stuff.
You know, I've done that. I've logged in as the wrong thing, right? Because we all have like alternate, aliases that we use, right?
We all do. I don't.
I do.
Oh man, I'm being left behind by the crowd.
I have an anonymous login. I've done that. So it's okay. Right. I'm not Farm RC pilot though. Although that sounds fun.
Roger McKeon. Hey, good evening, Roger. Okay, so I think that's a penciled in for Rob for a future stream. Here we go. Ham Radio QRP K0KLB. If you're watching this, get over to Kevin's channel and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, good stuff. And now let's continue with where we were going. Chris, Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo. What's been up in your world for the past few weeks?
Well, it's been a couple of months. I wasn't here with you boys.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Yeah, I had the COVID.
You had monkeypox, didn't you? Did you catch monkeypox?
The COVID bug.
I don't want to know how you did that, but okay.
Don't ask. No, the COVID bug decided to get me this time around. I go to every August. I go to this big harmonica convention. That's my other YouTube channel.
Okay.
Harmonica channel. And look, when you're in a hotel,
does Diddy go there too?
Oh, the monkey?
No, isn't the Diddy party at the harmonica convention? And you come back with monkeypox? I mean, how does that work?
I came back with COVID. Yeah. So what happened is, look, when you've got a hotel like a conference center with 350 harmonica players, there's a lot of like germs and air.
Hot air.
I missed it the last 2 years. This time, I didn't get COVID the last 2 times around, but it was my turn this time. So that's where I was. And I haven't done a whole lot of radio stuff, but I do have to share because Tracy said I could share it. So
Please do.
So I'll take 30 seconds. I've been playing harmonica since I'm like 9 years old, and played with my dad. He had a harmonica group. Dad played the long harmonica. It's like 2 feet long. That's the chords. Another guy played the bass harmonica, and I played the melody. And played harmonica trio music my whole life. Then when Dad passed away, and then I put them down, but then I got other guys that knew me, got me involved in playing jazz harmonica. So I started doing that. And that was back in 2001. So that's really been my thing. So there's this organization's convention I went to. It's called SPA. It's the Society for the Preservation and Advancement of the Harmonica. Just like there's a banjo society, and just like it's an accordion society, every annoying instrument has a society. So the harmonica has a society. But anyway, this year, in fact, I brought it over to show the guys beforehand, but it was truly received a Lifetime Achievement Award for playing.
Wow. That is so cool.
Outstanding.
Yeah. And the name on top is this guy, Pete Peterson, who was really he passed years ago, but he was like a harmonica hero for me. And just when I stopped playing, after my dad passed, he got a hold of me and he says, "You have to keep playing. You can't stop." Because they all knew me since I was a kid, all these guys. So he says, "You have to keep playing. You can't stop. Don't stop." And I said, okay. And that phone call happened. He passed like about 2 months after that. So it was for me, it was really special to get that award with his name on it. So that was the big deal for me in August. We did do a camping trip, but it wasn't a POTA park, so I didn't bother dragging all the gear out. I said, I'm just going to hang out on a camping trip and not do anything. So, but we will be going out this coming week. Next week on the 29th, we'll be heading out for our last camping trip of the season this year. And it is a POTA park, so watch for my spot. I'll be up probably on that Monday. I'll probably be up most of the day on the air. So, and that's pretty much it on my end.
Good stuff. Congratulations, Chris. It's wonderful to see that. I mean, I can only imagine the hours and hours that you've spent playing the craft, and I know you've done a number of things with it. And I believe you've tutored. So you've contributed to that whole community, and that's a wonderful achievement.
Not only that, we need to send a big shout out to Mrs. Kilo 2CJB too.
Oh yes,
absolutely.
For having to listen to me practice.
I couldn't imagine what it would be like living with somebody playing the fucking harmonica. Oh my god!
Actually, the CDs that I put out, like you guys got the Christmas CD. Now all that artwork was her. She did all of that.
Did she really?
Yeah, and also on that CD, she plays the keyboard for the last track that's on it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Are you guys seeing Chris's YouTube channel? Because StreamYard just did something funny to me. Okay.
We're simulcast, right?
If you haven't already done so, please go over to Chris's channel and subscribe. Chris does some really good. We're not talking harmonica now. We're talking about ham radio, and he's done some fantastic.
Well, the harmonica channel is Chris Bauer Music. So
okay. All right, that's important because Kevin just asked me.
Does she make you go outside to practice?
No, she usually goes out. She just goes out. I don't blame her.
Hey, let me catch up on some comments here, folks. All right, first thing, we got Paul, AA1SU, checking in from Northern Vermont. Hey, very cool. Thanks, Paul. I imagine the colors hopefully are starting to turn up there, and you've got a beautiful fall season underway. This is just Kevin saying thanks for the shout out. No problem, Kevin. You're a friend for sure. And looking forward to the show. I like this one, Chris. Harps and ham. Yes. You must have some mic collection.
I do. I have a ribbon mic that I record with. I have a custom made SM58 for my harmonica for handheld stuff. I have my dad's old mic, which is actually mounted on a chest plate. And it's an old Shure 330 ribbon mounted sideways. So gives you a lot of hands free with that. So yeah. And there's a couple others floating around. Yep.
Good stuff. All right. Let me just catch up here. We're getting some action in the comments. It could be one of those nights, and I hope it is. Keep them coming in. I'll do my best to keep up. All right.
Loves it.
Hey, we got Mike, N2MAK. Mike, I've been terrible at getting back to you on email. We're a thumbs up. Mike and I are going to work on a collab video, but we've got to sort of link up our schedules. So that week we were talking about, Mike, that's a good one. I'll try to get back to you this weekend. The following weekend I'm way up north camping, so lots going on, but I will get back to you. We'll set up a date and make that happen. We're gonna have work QRP to QRP because Mike's just across Lake Ontario from me, and we're gonna shoot the video shot from each other's point of view. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. VT Radio is saying, "Yep, the leaves are starting to turn." All right, we got Philip Theremin Society guilty. Do you know what? I keep forgetting what.
Okay, do you remember there's that Led Zeppelin song where it makes all that wild noise? Oh, that's a theremin. Okay, and people, it's a little thing. It creates an electromagnetic like wave, and you put your hand in it, and it oscillates. And don't ask Philip what it is; he'll go on for like an hour.
Oh yeah, no. We got to come up with a list of questions not to ask when he's on in November. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So, well, actually, we should have him do a demo for that. I mean, he should have that set up. I mean,
we want to attract viewers. Not
no. That would actually be watchworthy, I think.
All right, let's go back to these. Okay, Mike is just saying hi to Roger and Ham Radio QRB, and oh my gosh, you got to get those hellos in. Way to go, guys. The Georgia Salzburgers asked me back. Hey, Teri, you're from Georgia. Any familiarity with the Georgia Salzburgers?
No.
So is that where? So Philip, I got to ask you: is that where you take a hamburger and put salsa on top? Is that what that's all? I have a feeling I'm way off base.
Salzburg's in Austria, I thought.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's continue down the list. Okay, we got some hellos going back and forth, and that's a wonderful thing. Leaves are starting. All right. Hey, look at this from over across the pond. G7 LHK Troy. Hey, good morning, Troy. Thanks for staying up and hanging in with us while you're doing so. Got Kevin again. Look at this. Hey, Kevin's a new subscriber.
What's your heart?
All right. What do we got here? VT Radio. Chasing POTA on FT8 while I watch you. Go for it. That's fantastic. More Kevin. Okay, we got the hellos and whatnot. I think I'm almost caught up here. All right, good stuff, Mike. Yeah, we will definitely make that happen. All right. So let's get into this. Chris, thank you for your update. Tim, what's your update? How are things going over at the proprietor of the N9 SAB antenna?
Oh, it's just fun. So I'll share a small token. This has never happened. I've never seen this happen before. I got this back from a guy. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
that's one of your 3D printed cases,
I don't think I think that's somebody else's stuff you got there. Thanks, Tracy.
Is that why does it say N9 SAB at the top?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, I'm going to stop sharing that one away.
There you go. Thanks. So I get this back from a guy. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. My dog ate my antenna. I'm like, stop it. Like, yeah, I left it out, and I don't know. She must have thought it was a toy or something like that. And the dog ate the antenna. He had two of these, actually, right?
Okay,
and
so
dog ate the other one, too. So I was like,
I want to direct a question to your quality control department.
Yeah.
Are you saying those boxes that you build your stuff in are not dog proof?
Well, that depends on the dog.
Whether or not it has teeth.
Yeah.
Well, Pomeranian ain't going to do much to it.
If you've got a chewer, all bets are off, really, right? So the dog ate the antenna, and I was like, "Stop it! No, it didn't." Right? I was like, "Yeah, okay, dude." Whatever. No. I was like, "Well, send it back to me, and I'll repair it for you, right?" Because I'm thinking, well, how bad could it be, right? Well, no, the dog ate the antenna and the wire too.
Wow,
poor fellow.
Oh boy, I don't want to. I was going to pursue that, but I don't want to do that. Hey, check this out. So Scott, Tracy,
dog's fine, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I guess you're using the right quality of material to 3D print.
Well,
those,
I mean, it's not dog proof, but it is not.
So it's BPA free, I'm guessing.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, BPA is an additive. BPA is a liner, right? That they would put in.
Yeah,
different things for that.
So it has like nutritious quality. Then
that's for like blow molding and stuff like that. You won't see that in this.
You know, and with that color, it does look a little bit like a milk bone.
People like this. This is a flat dark earth, right? So it's like a desert. It's what I call the desert tan, but like different makers and different manufacturers actually have all different colors, right?
Hey, I gotta say, I haven't seen your logo before on one of those. Nicely done.
Oh, wow! It's been a while for you then, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I
used to have a friend in Illinois
like
that
a
would
care
send
box.
me the odd antenna.
Hey, maybe I send one to you and to Mike, and then you make you do your collab with my stuff. Now that'd be cool.
That would be very cool.
That would make up for the Etsy thing. So actually, this is ASA. So it's like ABS, only it's weatherproof, UV resistant.
Oh, nice
plastic. So yeah, but dog's fine.
And it tastes like chicken.
What's that, Chris?
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah. Not bad.
Exactly.
Well, dirty.
So speaking of that, so Scott says, Tracy, great to see the stash is back. K1NEO Maine. Hey, Scott, right. Thank you. I'm just going to say this about that. When I shaved it off, I got a lot of positive comments saying, glad to see the porn stash is gone. It's back. Yeah, I think you might have told me that too, Tim, didn't you?
I thought you were talking about me. I was teasing you. Actually, I had my do-rag out here somewhere. I was going to put that on for you. I got wrapped up in the dog eating my antenna thing.
Teri,
that's a beautiful thing, and so we never got to finish, Tim. So thanks for the dog eating the antenna story, because that's
great?
A new one.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. You know what's especially amazing about it? I mean, that's almost a testimonial, because he didn't destroy the package. He just broke off one of the tabs, right?
All three of them. He gnawed them off. They're gnawed.
But it's the box itself is still intact.
Oh, it still works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's functional. There's no doubt about that.
That's like that photo you used to have of the Jeep tire on top of the antenna box, right?
Which I still have to update it. We have a new Jeep, so I gotta.
Oh yeah,
we gotta redo that.
Fantastic. Okay, forget your life.
Get Kevin to drive one of his tractors over it and get a picture of it.
No, he's got to drive the tractor over top of it, leave it sitting there, hook up the tractor as an antenna, and then make contacts with it.
Yeah, you gotta load up the tractor.
Yeah. Teri, if you don't know what we're talking about, you have to see Kevin's channel. He's done some very creative things with antennas.
I will go check it out.
Okay, and poor Teri's sitting there. She's our guest. We're almost 20 minutes in, and we haven't even had a chance to chat with you yet. We'll get there. I promise we'll get there. Forget your life. I see the 3DSS doing what it does best. Display mode, absolutely right. I have some news about that later on. Here we go. A Rickards Red from Canada. Very nice, Mike. All right.
From Canada, eh?
Yeah, no, good beer. Nice. I can't drink beer anymore, or else I'd be drinking. Star Trek original series theme song also had a theremin.
Oh, that's right.
Go. Yeah. All right. Okay, wait a minute. Roger, no, that was a lady's theme.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy, I'm moving on.
You've done it now.
Rob Noakes, VE3 PCP, heads up. Saturday, October 5th, MCOM on the air test. VA3 KEO, me operating portable at our local fall fair. Very cool. ONTARS Net Control. October 5th. I'll be around that weekend. I'll be able to check in, Rob. 11 to 12, local VHF, 12 to 1, 40 meters, 7130, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Annual thing for us. Good luck with that, and I will definitely try to check in. Okay, what else we got? New Mexico 5RF. Good evening from New Mexico. Very cool. Thanks for joining us. We got Whiskey Delta 0 OM, the old man from Minnesota. Hello. I'm only saying that because it has OM in the call. Hello from Minnesota. You know what? I was watching a little bit. I got to nail the pronunciation. Minnesota. All right. I think that's it. Tim and we went back and forth on this, and you tried to help us. But I'm trying to get that right. Okay. N2MAK. Okay. He's just saying, Roger McKeon saying true. We got Howdy's going back and forth. Wasn't there a second version talking about the Star Trek theme, I'm guessing? All right. Hey, we got K6TAT. Good evening. Hey, thanks for joining us. Here's Philip. Capacitive coupling, Hartley oscillators, real
Here we
electronic.
go.
Oh man, I have a feeling that November stream is going to be something different. All right, Scout
I think
75.
I'm gonna have COVID again that night. I think.
They make Motrin in like 800 milligrams, right? Okay.
Jeez. Okay. Mike's going on talking about antenna connections. I seal all my antenna connections with peanut butter. Perhaps I should switch.
That's
Now,
why
I
the
was
dog ate the
thinking,
box.
if I did that out back, the squirrels would have that demolished in no time. No, okay, no, sir. German refugees. We're talking about Salzburger, right?
Okay,
No, sir.
Here we go. So German refugees from Austria. Wouldn't that make them Austrian?
Yeah. Well, was Austria part of Germany?
Salzburg is in Austria, right? Isn't that where Mozart was from? Salzburg? Was he a Salzburger?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so resettled just north of Savannah in 1733.
My phone's gonna blow up here in a second. Watch.
He's a 9th generation descendant of these hardy folks. Well, fantastic, and I mean that in all seriousness.
He's Austrian. Sweet.
Yeah, very cool. He's what Arnie's compatriot, I guess. James KI5 OEB. All things will pass. Sure, they will. And Lutherans. Okay. All right, what do we got here? The last name is kind of a dead giveaway. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, can you link in his channel? Whose channel? Sorry, are we talking about...
Link them all. Fuck it.
I can't. I got to keep up with... I don't suppose you guys can plug them in, can you? I got to keep up with comments here. And I'm feeling very bad for Teri right now. I might have to just pull the plug on these. Okay, one last one, and then we're going to move on. We got to get through this. Wow, Chris, you're a legend. Amazing harmonica productions, great entertainment, fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Okay, let's move this along. I'm just going to put a star with the next.
Yeah, I want to hear Teri's story here.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, was there anything else you want to share aside from dog eating antenna?
No, that's enough.
Okay, let's get into this. Let's bring in our special guest, Teri. Give me just one sec here. I want to go and bring up our special. I put together a little slideshow for us. Not death by PowerPoint for those that are watching. Okay.
So I had to do homework for tonight's stream, right? Tracy
Yep.
said we all had to do homework.
Mhm.
I want you guys to come. You guys do your homework and everything. So your little friend there, his name's Daisy, right?
Yes, that's Daisy.
That's
She's my POTA pup.
That's a good dog. That's a good dog. I'm kind of mad at mine right now, but that's a good dog.
Come on. Yours is your best friend.
Well, best friends still, disagree from time to time.
What like you and I?
He's in the doghouse. No, man, I went out and I bought, listen, he's getting older, okay? So he has some trouble moving and stuff like that. So I went out and spent a fortune on these, like, crazy treats and stuff like that. And the what do they call that? I don't know, just, green lipped muscle chondroitin and tucumcari, whatever it is, herbs that they put in these things, right? So I give it to him. He puts it in his mouth. He goes. So I tried hiding it, right? I tried like 2 pieces of chicken. This dude bit into it, took off the chicken somehow in his mouth, and the treat fell out the other side.
Maybe you need to put it in one of your antennas.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Well, he's not a chewer though. That's the thing. He was there. You hear that?
All right. I have a feeling we're getting off track again. So let's. So tell us about Daisy. What kind of dog is Daisy? How old is Daisy? This sort of thing.
Daisy is 7, and Daisy actually came to Sean, my son, and I. We were not looking for a dog at the time, and I used to ride horses, and I had a horse for quite a few years. And at the barn, Daisy showed up with her mother, and 2 other ladies rescued them. And the one lady just couldn't keep her because Daisy at the time was less than a year old, and she was chewing up everything. And Sean met her and said, Mom, and it's a good thing we didn't have your antennas around Tim at that time, because she might have chewed up your antennas like this other dog. But
Still
anyway,
works, though.
he was like, please, can we have Daisy? And we ended up adopting her, and she's just been a wonderful dog to take with me. As you know, I'm a woman in this hobby, and I go places. I camp, and I go to POTA parks by myself, and it's good to have a dog with me. So she's been a great
But
companion to have on.
she's almost like did you have her trained, or did you train her, or
I did. We did some obedience classes with her, and I do
she's
some.
almost like service dog level trained, like when she gets out and stuff and waits for you and does all that.
She's actually really well behaved, unless you bring sometimes like a squirrel or something else.
Yeah.
You know, that's a distraction, but she's usually pretty good. If I tell her leave it, she'll leave it, and she'll hang with me. So
She's a good dog. She's a
she
good dog.
is.
She's a good dog.
That's right. She'd eat her medicine.
Well, you showed your dog there, Tim. You're a tough guy. You're really tough.
Let me tell you.
Laying down the law like that. Okay, I was going to ask you about that anyway, because I was curious. So, it's fantastic for a woman going to parks, having a companion like that, somebody just to give somebody else a little bit of pause if there's an issue.
I get it.
Pause.
I get it. Pause. That's funny.
So to speak, yes.
That's done.
All right.
Don't quit your day job.
And I want to say this. I love your logo. That is fantastic. Was that your idea? Did you come up with that concept?
No, I'm going to give credit to Bob Cray, and I think he's House of Ham is his channel, and I met Bob through CW Innovations, and we can talk about that in a bit.
Yep.
But we were jibber jabbering about things, and he said if I could ever help you with anything, I'd be happy to do that. I have the nickname of the hummingbird sometimes, because I'm just like, doing 50 different things. And I know we can't multitask, but it feels like I'm multitasking. And so he came up with that logo, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's great. So that's where the logo came from.
Nice.
Very well done. That is a classic for sure. Okay. So Teri, you've only been a ham for a few years now.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the hobby?
Well, we were talking about COVID, right? Chris was talking about COVID. COVID started me thinking about disaster planning and being a bit more prepared for unexpected things. And I was following a couple of people who handle that or talk about that. And ham radio came up several times. And I started looking into it, and I thought, this can't be that hard. I just got to go take a test. And so I thought, let's just go do it. And I did. I studied for 6 weeks and went and took my test. I got my novice in January of 2022. And I thought, wow, this is great, but I need to have the general, because I got to be on the HF bands. And went and got my general. I think that was in March or April. I actually have not gone back to the disaster preparedness stuff. I've been having so much fun with POTA and all this other stuff that I guess in a way I am. I mean, I got CW. I mean, that's disaster preparedness.
It is.
But that's how I got into it. What keeps me into it, though, is the people, like the three of you and all the other people that I meet. It's a great community. It's a great community. And I never stop learning. I love learning. And this hobby is full of stuff you can learn about. You can never stop learning about things. So
yeah, there's no end.
Yeah, there's no end. There really is. And with CW, it takes forever, in my opinion, to really be a truly proficient op, to really, achieve the pinnacle of it. So I have a lifetime ahead of me of working on CW. So, it's great.
Yes.
It's a great hobby.
That's fantastic. It's funny. I just got to jump. I was just the thought crossed my mind earlier. It's like, so you're a YL in the hobby, which is that's great. And you're doing POTA as a YL on your own. You're going out to these parks, setting these things up, and operating that way. And you're operating CW. So all of it is like it's like that's like a niche in ham radio that's unique. So good for you. That's really good.
It is. I think CWYLs are rare.
Very rare.
There aren't a whole lot of us, and I like to try to encourage women to get out there and to do it as much as possible.
Yeah. And you set up.
Absolutely.
I love the way it's very efficient, very compact. It's like it's a chair, it's your lap, and you're on the air. It's fantastic. That's great.
Let me just run down a few comments here because there's one here I really want to get to.
He can't resist.
Yep. Philip, 12-year-old video of me and my channel playing Auld Lang Syne. Okay,
on
thank
the
you, Philip.
theremin, you forgot that little detail.
Okay, and on the theremin, yes. We got some hellos. QRP forever. Greetings from Brazil. Hey, thanks for joining us, Chris. PD9CHR. Great to have you with us. Okay, here's, why is it when I read The Hills Are Alive, I'm thinking Deliverance?
Georgia?
VT Radio. Just checked my POTA awards page. I have 49 of 50 states. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Great.
Holy mackerel.
Which one doesn't he have?
Yeah, well, okay, let us know. VT Radio, let us know. Which one don't you have?
It's just like Wyoming. Wyoming's a tough one to get for anything.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, I got to go look now. I don't know.
Big dip, isn't it?
I think I got them all.
I'm worse at field test destroying Tim's widgets than the doggy. That's probably true. Okay, here's one you want to check out, Terry. 7-3 to my teacher, Teri, from TI3GB Greg from Costa Rica, Central America.
Hey, Greg, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, that goes back to CW Innovations. That was something that I wanted to talk about at some point. And
Greg, please continue, but then I want to hear about CW Innovations.
So Greg was in one of my classes. CW Innovations is a newer organization. We're small. We're not like the big guns out there. And we teach a comprehensive ICR course. I know this has become the buzzword. Everyone throws around ICR here, ICR there. Instant character recognition is important if you really want to be conversational with CW. You need that so that you move the what you're hearing with the code. You're not using the conscious side of the brain, but the subconscious side of the brain. It's like when you're driving, right? When you start as a new driver, you're checking the mirrors and you're thinking, okay, I got to look at my speed and I got to watch all this stuff. You're checking these things. Well, we've all been driving for ages now, and we just drive. In fact, half the times we end up somewhere like, how did I get here? It's just our subconscious does it. And that's what we try to teach in the course. And so Greg was one of my students. He was in a great class. I think that was Alpha, the beginning of the year. And it was a wonderful class. But CW Innovations is trying to help people learn those skills and achieve what they want in the hobby. We're different in that we don't copy and send code in the class. And a lot of people go, well, what the heck do you do for a whole hour if you're not copying and sending code? Well, copying and sending code is your homework. That's what you got to do. That's why we require people to be on the air before we come in the class. And instead, we're teaching people how to learn CW with a tool called Wordless Trainer. And then we facilitate Code Buddy QSOs. People come in the class and they talk about their experiences with the modules, their successes and their struggles. And it becomes a group, a camaraderie that everyone helps one another. So it's great. If you're interested in increasing your proficiency, you're already on the air. Please make sure you're already on the air and you have a home station that's more than QRP. Please go out to our website and we'd love to have you join us.
What's the web address, Teri?
I think it's cwinnovations.net. I think that's what it is.
And if they need an antenna, I know where they can get an antenna too.
That's right. Right over here.
I had a friend of mine, Terry. I had a friend of mine years ago. He was a CWF, and he could literally. He was one of those guys that copy like 30, 35, 40 words a minute in his head, right?
Wow.
And here's what amazed me with him. He was at my shack one day, and he was working somebody, and all I heard, all it was to me was like, that's all I heard, right? It sounded like a riddy. That's all I was listening to. He's copying this guy in his head, and he's carrying on a conversation with me on a totally different subject. And he says, hang on. And he's like, send it back to the guy. And he says, okay. I said, what are you doing? He says, I just worked China for you. I said, okay, I'll take your word for it.
That kind of thing makes me jealous. I mean, Phil's like that. I mean, when I first did the first CW QSO with Phil, it was like he was running digital or something. I was, okay, slow down.
So
keep going slower.
Yeah,
How many
exactly.
words a minute do you want me to do?
Yeah. Slow down. I can't copy it. Yeah. So this friend of mine, he got to a point where he'd recognize words. So it wasn't characters anymore. And you weren't going through the process of like, oh, that's like decoding in your head and writing it. He just recognized words and patterns, and that's how.
Yeah, I could never do that. I could never. I can CQ, pick up my call sign, and I respond 73559, thanks, that kind of thing, and I'm pretty good at that. But as far as like talking, no.
Well, it's a skill. It's a skill, just like a language. You think about it. And this is why we really try to get people doing what we call code buddy QSOs. And I've got a video on my channel about code buddy QSOs with one of my code buddies. When you learn a language, if all you ever do is fill out grammar sheets and, learn vocabulary, but you never speak to somebody with the language, you're not going to pick it up. And CW is the same sort of thing. You can't just do formulaic exchanges are a great way to get in the hobby, and instant character recognition is important. But unless you do those kind of QSOs where you sit down and you try to rag chew and you start very simple and you gradually, work up to words and you work up to phrases and you work up to longer phrases and longer exchanges, that's how you really become conversational with CW.
Nice. You're right. It's a language. It's learning a language is what you're doing.
It is. And to me, there's nothing more fun than having a conversation with somebody. I might be calling CQ, SKCC, because I do some SKCC work here and there, get somebody back and, oh, this guy wants to rag chew. And so we jibber jabber about, I don't know, the weather or whatever else, where he is. And you finish up and you're like, wow, I just talked to somebody that I don't know halfway across the nation.
Yep.
How cool is that? You know?
Using a code key.
Using a code key and a radio that's this big, right?
Exactly.
Your Elecraft is, and I want to talk to you about your gear in a minute here too. I'm trying to catch up on some comments here. They're coming fast and furious. Please keep them coming. I'll try to put them up as quickly as I can. I just want to mention something here. So Robert just got his All States Award a few months ago. Let me tell you, it felt awesome to print it out and hang it on my wall. Congratulations, Robert. That's fantastic. Here's TI Ham Radio again. I'm glad to see you. CW Innovations have helped me a lot to become one of the few CW operators in Costa Rica. Teri was my teacher, and we enjoyed the journey to learn CW with other hams. Man, you are giving back. For somebody who hasn't been in the hobby very long, you're giving back to the community in a big way, Teri.
Well, isn't that the great tradition we have in this hobby, though, is Elmering and helping one another? It's what we do as hams, right?
Yeah, fantastic. I love the spirit. And I'm still learning. See you in the air. Look at that. Beautiful. All right. And by the way, I did put the link to CW Innovations in the chat. CW SOTA Ops. Have you done any SOTA, Teri?
I have actually. I try to go out each break when my son's out of school. And so this summer, I went to North Carolina. It was my goal to do SOTA activation this year. And I had 3 SOTA while I was there. And got bitten by that bug. And I'm already plotting my return in April. I'm looking at going to North Georgia and trying to do some SOTA up there. So
I'm just going to say this. Having looked through your blog on qrpeer.com, you can tell somebody if somebody's a serious hiker or not by their hiking boots. You're a serious hiker. You got some good boots there.
Well, I want to keep from turning my ankles if I can.
Absolutely. No, it's amazing. It's like you're serious if you have a good pair. Hey, I just want to catch up with somebody here. Brian Spilsbury from Guelph, BE3 GUE. Thank you for joining us, Brian. Great to have you out there tonight. I've got a question here. Who in this chat got an H3 radio? Does anybody here in the group here know what an H3 radio is? And I don't. So if you do, put it in the chat for me down below, and I'll try to catch up. Hey, here's something, Phillips. You and I can relate to something on this one. Learn Morse from the Radio Shack book from 5 to 1,000 watts back in the 70s. Absolutely, I had a copy of that book.
Yep.
Don Trainer, hello, fellow outdoor hams. What do we got here? We got here's one. Teri, right up your alley. Conversational rag chew CW is the best. Okay.
It is.
All right. Let's move forward a little bit more. So So you get into it. You're into CW. First of all, do you ever do phone?
I did phone when I first got in the hobby. And actually, it's interesting. My first introduction to the hobby was POTA. I found my local radio club, coastal area radio society, cars. And they have something called the No Work Wednesday Club. And it's the guys that don't work. They get together every Wednesday. They do a POTA activation. It's typically at Wormslow, but sometimes at Fort Pulaski. And they said, come on out. And so I came out, and they were doing an SSB because most of those guys are SSB. And I went through 3 weeks where I asked lots of questions. I'd show up every Wednesday. And the third time, Jack looked at me and said, he's the president. He said, okay, Teri's running the activation next week. I said, oh, really? Okay, cool. And I did. I made mistakes, but I did it. I had 77 contacts, including Central America. And when I finished, I slammed my hand down. I said, wow, that was so much fun. I mean, I was hooked. I loved it. And it took me a while to get back to POTA after I sort of got on the air and started doing a lot of SKCC stuff. But yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. So I've had sort of this crazy path. I didn't start to do CW. I didn't intend to do CW. I'm actually not really sure how I got into CW. I think I got an app on my phone and started playing with it. And I went to one of the organizations and I learned, and finally got on the air, and then just started getting my feet wet with like the SSTs, which is a weekly it's twice a week. It's like a little short exchange that's held, I think, on Sundays and Fridays. And then I got involved with the SKCC, which is the Straight Key Century Club. And they're a great organization. If there's any of your people who are watching right now and they would like to be more proficient with CW, more beyond just a simple POTA exchange, I would recommend go to SKCC. Now, they require mechanical keys, and I know there are a lot of people that don't use mechanical keys. They use just the paddle, and I use both for mine. But SKCC is great because they embrace newer and slower ops. They don't have a problem with that. They're not trying to, like the MSTs and all these other kind of things. They really want to help people come along. So I got involved with that and did a lot of that kind of stuff. I got their marathon award eventually. I worked on that, which was an achievement. And then eventually started getting back into POTA. So, I've kind of been all over in the place in the hobby, but it's a fun journey. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. Hey, let me just throw this in here. James, KC8OPV, recently completed his first Kilo Award, operating at his local state park. Thanks to all the hunters. Congratulations, James. Great achievement there. So, Teri, you get into ham. What's your experience like as a woman in a male-dominated hobby? Can you give me any perspective on that?
I find generally the men are pretty comfortable with women. I don't really feel like I'm singled out. I do think that when I first got into the hobby, I felt the need to achieve a lot just to kind of hold my own. I'm not saying that guys did that they made me feel that way, but that was just me, a personal thing. Of course, I'm also a type A personality, so I'm always pushing myself. So, I kind of can blame myself about that. But yeah, I find the guys are pretty embracing about stuff. I did have one situation. This was kind of weird when I was pursuing the Marathon Award. Are you familiar with the Marathon Award from SKCC? Oh,
I am not.
Person. Yes, SKCC, friendly organization. The Marathon Award is 100 rag chews. They have to be at least an hour in length, and each was with a different op.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And I should have said wow before I jumped into it. But I embraced it and I jumped into it, and I don't remember where I was going with my point. I've totally lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Well, we're talking about you as a woman getting into the hobby.
So I would reach out to different people. I'd look in people's logs and try to find people who had other marathons. And I had one gentleman that I had reached out to, and he thought that I was a man. And so he then, in our conversation over email, he realized I was a woman, and he said, I hate to tell you this. He says, but I can't have a CUSO with you. And I said, why not? He said, Because my wife won't let me talk to any OILs on the radio. I was like, "You're kidding me." And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay.
Did
I'm
you
sorry."
tell him there are no YLs on the radio?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should have said that.
Boy, I got into ham radio, the chicks, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the other thing is the conversation is public on the air. I mean, anyone can hear it.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It
You know,
is.
we had Kim
You discovered
K6.
people are weird.
We had Kim K6YYL on with us last year, and she was telling us about going to write her exam, and her husband coming along, who has absolutely zero interest in radio, and the volunteer examiner walking straight up to her husband and say, "Okay, well, you want to sit over here?" And he says, "Oh, no, I'm not here to write the exam." And so the examiner looks over at Kim and then looks back to him and says, "Well, what can I help you with?" You know, it's like, so yeah, once in a while you run into some interesting situations. Okay, so people have been wonderful and are pretty good at welcoming you into the hobby. You know, so I want to ask you from a CW perspective, Teri, do you have a musical background?
I do actually. And I
Okay, see, I think there's a link there.
Theremin,
do
right?
think what?
Theremin, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly, a theremin. That's right. How did you know?
Yes.
I actually played the piano as a child, and I also was in a performing arts group in college. I did a little bit of choir stuff, you know, with church and things like that. So I do have a musical background, and I do think it makes a difference. I think it helps. I don't think it means you can't be good with a paddle or you can't be good with a key, but I think there is an advantage there. And in fact, my favorite key is the cootie. I love the cootie because it's to me.
Can you explain a cootie? I'm sorry, because I don't know what it is, and I'm sure there's others that don't.
Okay, I apologize about that. So there are mechanical keys and there are iambic keys. And the mechanical keys are the ones where you have to make the dits and the das. The iambic keys are paddles, and paddles are controlled by the timing in the computer. So when I place my hand on the das, if I hold it down, the computer will go da, 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 until I finally take my hand off. And the dits, it'll make the dit, 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 until I take my hand off. So the computer's making the it's making the characters, but I'm controlling like the timing of the characters. It's controlling the dits and the das, and I'm making the characters. I'm sorry, I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. A mechanical key, you actually make the dits and the das. It's like a telegraph key, like we think about. To make a K, it's da, da, da. I have to make those. So a straight key is like a telegraph key, and a cootie is like a telegraph key on its side. And you have to you do it back and forth. And so to me, it's like playing jazz. And bugs, that's right. Bugs are another key. And I'm learning to work on the bug. I have a video on my channel where I'm actually using a bug, and I have to get back on the air with the bug. But yes, the cootie is a difficult key to pick up sometimes. And to me, I think if you have a musical background, it's a little bit easier to do that.
Yeah, but jazz isn't music. And I just
I
just want to say for the record that some of us did our homework. Some of us did our homework, and some of us didn't. And I think
Wow. I used to like you, Tim.
Listen, there are three things in life, maybe four, that I really, really wanted to like, right? I wanted to. I set out to like them. Golf. I hate golf.
Ooh.
Scotch. I hate scotch.
Ooh.
And jazz.
Wow.
I thought you said four. Where was the fourth?
There was a fourth one. It came up the other day. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I did. I tried. As a guy, you're supposed to like these things. Yeah, drink scotch.
I don't like any of them.
That comment when he said, I was going to say drummers actually make some of the best CW ops.
Yeah. Because you're keeping the rhythm going of a song. So that's great.
Good stuff. Hey, let me just slide this one in quickly. Philip again, POTA Rising Saturday with about 30 Georgia hams Saturday. First activation since field day as it's cooled off a bit now. Excited. Hey, I got to have a check. When November comes around, Philip and I are going to talk about weather because I think he's mailing it in a little bit with his severe weather complaints. But we'll talk about that then. Okay.
Well, you're hard. Listen, you are hardcore when it comes to winter. You'll go out camping in the wintertime. So
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, when there's actual snow on the ground.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you're not well.
It
I'm just going to
gets
say you're not well.
I don't know how hot it gets up there, but I mean, in
Oh, let me tell you, field day was crazy. We were getting the same heat as much of the U.S. It was,
down there,
and I wasn't sitting. You know,
it
you
gets
saw some of the field day
know?
videos on YouTube. A lot of those guys were sitting in air-conditioned shelters.
Mm.
I wasn't, and you know, a word to the, you know, just to those who might not want to check it out. I'm shooting parts of my field day video in a shirt that I put on 20 minutes prior to filming, and it's soaked. So it was like that. All right, let me see here. Let's get back to the conversation. Okay, Teri. So you got these different things. Elecraft. You've got your Elecraft radio. Tell us about it. How did you end up with it? Why do you like it? What's your impressions of the radio? Give us some information on that.
Well, his name is Craig, and I know that's a crazy thing, but kind of like Thomas, he names his rigs. I name my rigs too. His name is Craig because he goes everywhere with me, and he's my buddy. Didn't we have a VK watching us tonight, don't we?
We do, yeah.
So see, there you go, Craig. That's a very sort of Australian name. I purchased the Elecraft because I'm not really a collector of rigs. I probably could become a collector of keys and antennas, which is probably good for Tim's business. But I'm not really into rigs, and I really wanted the best. And from what I read, the Elecraft KX2 was one of the best for going and doing portable ops. Mm-hmm. It's nice and small. It's compact, especially if I'm going to start doing more SOTA. I need to have something that's small. I love the little radio. I still don't know everything about it, and I need to sit down and play with it a lot more. But it's been to a great extent plug and play for me. And I love the internal antenna tuner is awesome on it. And it's just a great radio. My understanding, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, was that Elecraft made their radios with CW in mind. And if that's the case, it's great. The receiver on it is wonderful. I can't speak enough wonderful things about Elecraft. And it's interesting. Where I live now, after my divorce, I live in a townhouse, and I cannot have I can't have an antenna here. So I have an antenna back at my parents' house, and my partner, Glenn W4YES, he's working on trying to get a remote station up and running. I had an 891 that I had used forever, and it's just a little workhorse. I've been great with the 891. But he has a K3, and that's what we're starting to use at the station. And so it's really neat to be able to go from one Elecraft radio to the other Elecraft radio and kind of have the same sort of experience. So I love Elecraft. They're just, to me, it's worth the money that I spent on the rig. I wanted one radio and for my POTA stuff, and it's definitely.
Well, let me tell you this. So Rob here, VE3 PCP. So he's saying Rotuma. Geez, I'm probably screwing up that. Rotuma DXpedition is using KX3 in their next generation RIBs. Rob is an expert on remote operation, and we're going to have him on. I'm hoping, Rob, we're going to be able to put you on sometime early in the new year. So more to come on that. But yeah, I think that's awesome. You'd be able to actually work from your home with a remote station.
Mm-hmm.
Although who was that guy we had on? Remember we had the guy with the stealth antennas that was in
Peter.
Yeah, and he had. This guy he could go up to like 80 meters, and he had pictures. You could not see the antenna at all.
Wow.
He's in a townhouse complex, no outside antennas.
Yep.
He would go out at midnight. He would dig a trench for his coax out to a stand of trees, because the back of the complex bordered onto a school, and up in the corner of the school property, probably a couple hundred feet away, was a stand of 40 to 50 foot tall trees. So he strung up a wire. I think it was a Delta loop he had in those trees, completely invisible.
Yep.
And he had buried the coax from his townhouse out through the common area to a ditch in behind, out to the trees. Yeah, it was quite a story.
Yep. Yep, it can be done.
It can be. I'm glad that I have the station over at my parents' house, though. They live like 15 minutes from where I am. So when I do Code Buddy QSOs, or I get on for SKCC or do a special event, I can always go over there. At least right now, till we get the remote station up and running, the remote capability. So it's nearby, but it is nice when you have it in your own house.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hey, Rob's come over and said, "Hey, sure thing, Teri. I will send you an email." So
Okay.
maybe a little bit of help for what you're trying to do there. Let's just take another look at what do we got here. We've got I have a 4-band Elecraft K1. This is VT radio that I got in an estate sale a few years ago. I have yet to make a QSO on it. It's a CW only rig. Well, that seems like technology going to waste there. You got to get that thing all fired up. All right, good stuff. Teri, what's next for your radio adventure? Like what we know where you're at now. You've given us a pretty good rundown, but what are your short-term and long-term goals for radio for you?
The sky's the limit, Tracy. The sky's the limit. I kind of go from year to year. The YouTube channel is a new challenge. I knew nothing about DaVinci Resolve, nothing about audio, nothing about video. And that's what I've been doing the last, probably about the last month, is trying to learn how to do these things. For me, it's about telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do in my QRP articles. And I've had people say, it's like reading a travelogue when I read your stories.
Yep.
I want to take the viewer and I want to say, here's what experience I had. Come along in my journey and experience it with me. And I want to be able to learn how to do the same thing with YouTube in a video. And I think I have a long way to go, but I'm enjoying that. I'd like to do a lot more SOTA. And I'd also like to be able to travel more. I have a little person who's going to be out of the house soon. And I'm so excited about that. I mean, I love my son. He's great. He's a cool kid. But in 2 years, I'm hoping that I can hit the road more and maybe go to some more parks and some more states and keep this journey going, writing about POTA, maybe doing some SOTA and, just see where it goes. Because my purpose, from my perspective in the hobby, is to encourage, to inspire, and to support people. And however I can do that, that's great.
Well, you're certainly off to a running start. This is fantastic, the work that you've done so far. Hats off to you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through. We've got some. Let me see if this will work.
What you need now is a motorcycle.
Hey, I've already been looking into like campers. It's like, hey, I could get on the road and see where I could get to. It would be fun. There's Daisy. That's actually one of my SOTA activations. That's Richland Balsam, which is right off the Blue Ridge Parkway. That's an easy one to do. And the Park Service just happens to give you a park bench when you get to the top of it. So
nice.
I didn't even have to use my Helinox chair up there.
Right. Perfect.
Hey, here's a question for you, Teri, from Dawn. Have you thought about creating your own D-expedition?
Oh my word.
Oof.
No, I haven't. I thought that, I actually don't know much about expeditions. Aren't those all officially sanctioned by some club or ARRL, or enlighten me here?
It's usually like a club, right? Or a bunch of guys that get together and go like to some really like obscure place on the planet, and
well, it depends on where you want to go. I mean, there's some permissions and things that you need to get, and it has to be organized and publicized, and you'll get the sanction from the ARL or the IATU or whoever it is.
Fundraising's involved.
Yeah.
You can get equipment donated to you for the radios, the antennas, the other hardware that you might need. They need to pay for transportation, because what they'll do is, typically with a D-expedition, what are the rarest countries, the countries that are most in demand, and that's the sort of place they'll go to. And of course, in that world, countries aren't necessarily countries. They could be little specks of land somewhere out in the middle of an ocean. But you can do a mini D-expedition that's all you going to some place that's kind of unusual.
Go to Tybee Island. It's not far from you. Right? Just kayak out there with a solar panel.
Jeez.
There used to be.
I am going to be in Canada. I'm hoping next summer. I'm hoping to go up to Banff and maybe Jasper,
Nice.
and I'm hoping to do some POTA from there. That's not a mini DX position, but I don't know. The sky's the limits in this hobby. That's
Yeah.
the way I look at it. You can do just about anything you want.
Yep, absolutely right. Hey, here's Uwe from Germany. I started to operate outdoors with the Wilderness Sierra, also CW only. I did about 5,000 contacts with this tiny rig. Holy cow. I upgraded to the K2 and later on to the KX3. All fantastic rigs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. What do we got here, Rob? There are 5 youth operators from our club being remote ops in the Rotuma DXpedition. One is my son. Oh, wow, cool. Tugsy, TA3 TGC, Mirzuke, TA7 YLY, Amelia, YO8YL PIA, DL7 PIA. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I'm not, Rob, I'm not that familiar with the names, but most of those ops that you're mentioning there, with the exception of your son, are women, aren't they? Rob's done some incredible stuff. I'm looking forward to having him on at some point. Okay. Teri, we are at the top of the hour. I told you I'd give you a lifeline, a chance to bail out if you got somewhere else to go at the top of the hour. Do you have to get going? And just before you go, Kim, K6YYL. Hey, Kim, great to see you. We were talking about you just a few moments ago. Great. Thanks for joining us, Kim. Okay.
I'm not going to take the lifeline. I'm going to hang out with you guys for a little bit longer, if that's okay. I'm game.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic. Okay. Well, let's do a little bit more looking through some of these slides. Do you remember
the ham
this
radio
one?
lady could.
I love this shot. This is classic.
That's one of my favorite photographs of me. I typically like photographs where I'm not looking directly into the camera. And that's actually at Fort Anne in Canada. So I went to Nova Scotia last year, and the inspiration for the trip came from actually Thomas. He had done the same thing. He had not to Nova Scotia, but he had gone to Canada and he had done some POTA. And so I found that, there is a reciprocal agreement, and I could go using my call sign with a /VE1 behind it. And that was my first time going somewhere, traveling with ham equipment and trying to do POTA activations. I learned a lot. I did not have a valid activation in my first 2. They were miserable. Part of it was propagation, and part of it was my inexperience. But I turned that around. This is an earthen fort. I can't remember where it is in Nova Scotia, but it was so cool because where I'm sitting, you can kind of see in the background, there's a lot of fog. And I went up on this hill and I threw up my antenna and installed it in that tree that's in front of me. And by the end of the activation, all the fog was gone. And to the left of me was this river, and back to the right of me was this river. I was surrounded on 2 sides by it. And I was sitting up at the top of this earthen embankment fort, and it was like, this is so cool. So that's one of my favorite POTAs that I've done.
Oh, very nice. And that's the sort of stuff that you get when you're out doing POTA, right? All these, of course, I've spent years trying to convince people to get out of their basement shacks and get outside and enjoy stuff like this. So good for you. Oh, here's a nice shot too. I like this.
That was in North Carolina. That was the trip I took in July. And I think that is Lake James State Park. That was the morning. We had rain the night before, and I did something that I will probably never do again. I tried re-waterproofing my tent. I did a pretty good job, but that is a massive undertaking, and I still have some more stuff to do. So while I had some things drying out across the way, I thought I'm going to get my POTA activation in. And I did. I set up that morning. Daisy, you can't see her in the picture, but she's to my right, sleeping on the ground there. And I got on the air and had my activation in the shade. And you can just barely see to the bottom left side, the Chelegans MC750. I don't use a vertical very often. I'm usually a wire girl, and I tend to throw up an antenna up in a tree. But this morning I didn't feel like doing that, so I put the Cheligans out, and because that was nice and easy, and had a good activation. So it was a lot of fun. I did have to deal with the mowing guy. That's the problem with POTA is you never know who you're going to get. And the guy decided this was a great time to mow. And
That seems to be a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I had to cut a video short for that very reason last month. So.
I remember seeing that. So I did have to contend with that, but he wasn't there very long. So, but that was a fun activation in the morning.
Okay, so let me ask you this. That's a Cheligans. Now, on the higher end, you got stuff like the chameleon, like the alpha antennas. Then you got the sort of like these Chinese brands. They're not as expensive, probably not built to as high a quality, but how are you finding the Cheligans?
I like the Cheligans. I don't use it that often, partially because it has it's bigger to carry. Whereas, my little Teflon, I don't even have it here. My little Teflon antenna, if I could easily get it, I would. It's this little tiny thing that I can just pull out. My throw bag actually weighs more and has a bigger footprint than the little Teflon does. For my line and my throw weight to put it up there. But that's a little small package that, especially if I'm going to be walking to somewhere or hiking to somewhere, rather than having this longer, carry bag, which is what the Cheligans does. So I don't use it that much, but when I have used it, I've been very happy with it.
Yeah, we've got a really interesting comment here. Rob says, what? No Tim antennas? What's up with that? Yeah, Tim.
Well, that's kind of an exclusive thing. So, like, I don't know if you for the people who use like the Chinese stuff, whatever. I mean, that's not really who we're going for. So,
oh man,
wow, tough. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I mean, if you like that kind of thing, it's okay.
I'm gonna have to check your stuff out, Tim.
No, don't do it.
If you want to be a cool kid. All the cool kids.
I'd like to be one of the cool kids. And I promise you, Daisy will not chew it, okay? She doesn't go for antennas. That's not her thing.
Daisy will get her own.
Good idea. All right, good stuff. All right. There was another shot. I think there was another shot here, Teri, because I took a look at a tree that you had set a wire up into. That wasn't it. No. Let me just go back here.
Is she like a cattle dog? What is she?
She's. I don't know what breed she is. She's mixed breed, but I think she could have some Australian cattle dog in her.
She looks like it. She acts like it too.
So, there was one. I might have been looking at your page on qrpeer.com. And by all means, anybody watching this, go over and check out Teri's page on qrpeer.com. A really interesting little look into the things that she's done. You cataloged these very well, but I did notice there's one photo there where you've got a line way up in a tree. So, I'm thinking to myself, it's not always the easiest thing to do to take a throw bag and toss it up into a tree. Have you got a special technique that you use?
No, I just try the heck to get it up there.
I have a cannon you can borrow.
I do the granny throw. There's two different ways. I think you can do the slingshot or you can do the granny throw. And I've done the granny throw, but I really need to practice. I don't.
I do the Nolan Ryan.
The Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan, yeah. The Ron Guidry, the big right hand.
So sometimes I get it up there on the first try, and sometimes it's 3 or 4 times. I have a bad habit of sending it straight up, which is not where it needs to go.
And then you got to run because it's coming right down on you.
So it's hilarious, and I should probably take some video footage of me trying to get an antenna up in a tree and to show people that I don't always get it on the first try, but it's fun.
Cool. Hey, Shane, Scout 75, you don't have to be a cool kid to have one of Tim's antennas. I'm living.
Shane's a cool kid. You find out.
That's true. Okay. I think sorry, but before we move on to our second topic, Teri, is there anything else you'd like to address that we haven't talked about?
Don't be afraid to step out there and to do new things. Because if I was afraid, I wouldn't have done what I've done. And I want to tell other people, if you have something you really want to do, just go do it.
Yeah, good.
It's the determined people that I see, especially in the CW portion of the hobby, that make it. Because getting on the air for the first time as a CW op is very intimidating. It was for me. I had key fright and I had to get over it. And going in and doing a POTA activation on CW by myself the first time was intimidating. Traveling to another country and doing POTA was intimidating. I mean, all these things could have been intimidating, and I could have said, well, I can't do that. I'm not capable of that. But I said, no, what the heck? I'm going to try it. And if I fail, I fail. Okay, fine. But so what? I can pick myself up and I can try again. So if there's anybody out there who says, well, I really want to fill in the blank, go do it. Go do it. Life's too short.
Well said. Fantastic. All right, let me just we're gonna switch gears a little. Oh, hang on a sec here. Let me just do a couple of comments. By the way, Tim, this is Mike N2MAK. I was already planning on using your 40-meter off-center fed for the video contact that Tracy and I are planning. So there you go.
All right, I'll unblock you on Twitter.
All right, let's do one of these. I'm just going to share my screen. We are going to move into second part of what we're going to talk about tonight, and that would be this wee beastie right here.
Oh dear.
Okay, so you know what? There's been a lot of reaction, and of course, it's a lot of reaction way too early, right?
Agreed.
We don't know.
We got nothing else to talk about
of what's going on. What's
that?
There's
a lot of reaction. There's a lot of reaction. There's nothing. I mean, they haven't done anything in years. So, we finally got something to talk about. We're going to overdo it.
So the first, I have one comment I want to make right out of the gate here. And you know what? I get accused of being a Yaesu fanboy. And the truth is, I'm not really a fanboy of any of them. But where the heck did they come up with this model name? FTX-1F. Whatever happened to A, B, C, D, and G? I don't know what they.
That's why we don't have Canadians name things. Okay, so if you know anything about cars, there is no WP model or anything like that. It's always X and F. And
people are going to be screwing up this name for years to come. Okay, that's my rant about the name.
The FTX because it's portable. Okay. 1F.
Yeah. Now the F could be field, but does that mean there's a non-field version?
Probably no, it doesn't mean anything. It just sounds cool.
It doesn't mean anything.
FTX-1F. It rolls off the tongue.
How about an FTX-1? Anyway, I'm moving on, guys. I just wanted to make that point right out of the gate because I really think people are going to be. Look at all the problems you had with the FT818, for God's sake. How many people were calling it the FT818ND? It was never the ND. It was the FT817ND, and then so people are going to screw this up for years. Anyway, I've already said more than I was going to say. Chris, you've had a chance to take a look at this.
That's your big problem with it, the name?
No. Let's talk about it.
I've looked at it a little bit, and first of all, it's like, well, let's wait till it comes out and see what it does. The other thing is, I think that in my mind, the jury's still out on the durability of screens like that. Visibility and durability. When you're outside, can you really see that screen? That's the question. So that's my.
I think it's a great point. To your point, I was at Mississauga Provincial Park, Northern Ontario, last month. I had my ICOM 705. It was an overcast day, and I had to move the 705 from outdoors into my kitchen shelter to see the screen. And I tried the brightness. It was just enough glare, and I had an anti-glare screen on it. Now I don't know if that made it better or worse, but you can presume that if that's happening on an ICOM 705, it's going to happen on a rig like this.
Of course it is, yeah, because people who design these things aren't necessarily the ones out there using them in the field.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I would submit to you that because of the things like the 705 and whatnot, and the retirement of the 818ND, that it would be,
It's
they
not
wanted to
the
get this out.
818ND.
They wanted to get this out pretty quickly, so poof, there it is. So I imagine they just shrunk the screen down, put some, buttons together, and said, here we go, we got something. And like if you remember the 991, right? It was out for 6 months. There was a bunch of problems with it, and they came out with a 91A.
Mhm.
So it's the next one that I'd be interested in seeing. But I see no reason to buy this. There's if I have my 818ND and I've got this, what difference is there? Why am I buying this one
Right.
as opposed to keeping my old one? I don't have any more power. I don't have an internal tuner.
Right.
I don't have. I got a cool looking screen, and
and here's the question: even with that screen, is like depending how small the radio is, how useful is the information on that screen?
Mhm.
Right.
yeah, I see no reason. I see no reason to drop $1,200-$1,300 on this.
Yeah. Hey,
You?
look what Mike N2MAK. And by the way, I just want to draw this attention. Anybody watching this, if you're curious about these color LCD screens and how they perform in the sunlight, Mike did a very good video last year. He had an ICOM 7300 and a Yaesu 710 outside in bright daylight. He didn't even try to cover it up, and you get to see just how difficult it can be to view these screens under those conditions. So I would encourage people to go over and check that out. And here's Mike saying it's probably Yaesu's menu engineers who are the ones naming the radios. Good one.
Probably.
Here's Rob. I made this point last time around that screens are not a good thing on a portable rig. Okay. So Teri, do you know anything about this radio? What have you had a chance to check it out at all? Any thoughts about it?
No, I don't. But I think your point, Chris's point about the screen, is a very good one to consider, because I don't know how usable that would be. It's bad enough when I'm in there's a new logging app, Ham2K Polo. And it's decent on the phone, but you're trying to log stuff on the phone. That's difficult enough on that screen. And here you've got another screen like this. So that would definitely be a hesitation on my point. But I don't know much about this rig.
Okay, fair enough. And by the way, feel free to chime in as we go through some of the stuff on here, because there's a few slides that I sort of want to get through on here. I have a rig expert, AA35 Zoom analyzer. The reason I bring that up, if anybody's watched any of my recent videos where I'm out with an antenna and I'm using the analyzer, you can't see the bloody screen.
Correct.
It drove me crazy. I was making these videos. I could see it in front of me, but the camera wasn't picking it up. And the reason I bring up that analyzer is because I found out, and I'll be doing this on my future videos going forward, the screen has a monochrome mode, which is much more visible in the daytime. We all know that like an FT891, that's got a monochrome screen. It doesn't matter what kind of lighting conditions you've got. It's extremely visible during all of them. So we don't know for sure if it doesn't have a monochrome display. I can tell you with certainty that my ICOM 705 doesn't have a monochrome mode it can go into. And I'm sure I'm going to get bashed about saying that, but why make something less attractive than it has to be? Well, visibility, which is a human interface thing. So I'm in agreement with you guys on this. Tim, have you got other thoughts about this rig?
We'll see it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'll watch the videos and stuff on that. You'll never get me to buy one, at least not right away.
Here's Arnold. It's supposed to have dual receive. Wonder if that's only HF, then VHF or HF only, or VHF and UHF only. I'm going to come back to that, Arnold, because there's another screen where we get a little bit more detail on the capabilities. And NM5RF. PIC shows 14 megahertz and 70 centimeters on AB, so it better be able to. Yeah, I'm sure it does. And Rob's just saying he likes his Nano VNA. I was
I do
talking about
too.
the
Good for you, Rob. Absolutely.
Okay, and Forget Your Life. I moved to an e-ink Stick 500. Looks great in the sun. Yeah, okay. Mike N2MAK, who made the video. Direct sunlight is never good for a radio. It's best to avoid it to keep the rig cool. Absolutely. And the screen more visible. I'm sure the FTX-1F display will be fine. I'm curious about the menu and features, though. Arnold, I doubt you could listen to both VHF and UHF at the same time since it only shows 20 meters and 70 centimeters. Okay. It would be a big seller if you could work full duplex SATs. Well, I think that's the idea behind the dual receive. You know, who needs dual receivers, right? Somebody working satellites. Somebody else, a contester. This is not a contesting rig, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at the next slide here. Okay, I don't know how well you're going to be able to read this, but here's what we've got. So operating mode's pretty much what you expect, multi-mode including C4 FM. SDR technology, and they're hyping their 3D SS spectrum scope, which a lot of hams apparently don't like. They take a look at it and they turn it off. The touch screen display, so it's a 4.3 inch, same size, pretty sure, as the ICOM 705. The two independent receiver circuits, I just touched on that. I'm not sure that's a great feature for somebody who's out running QRP portable. If you're SOTA, if you're POTA, is that really something that you need? And I do think that it stands to reason. If you've got two independent receivers, you've just added to the price of the unit, right? It's not going to be like a 705, which has a single receiver in it. Now notice here, and this is for Arnold. It says whether in the same band or in different bands, and they offer an example here. Single sideband communication on HF bands simultaneously with C4 FM digital communication on VHF, UHF bands. So I'm not sure if you can extrapolate from there that you've got complete frequency agility between the two bands. Not sure. Two speakers ensure clear and powerful audio output. Well, you know, it's kind of like one of those more sophisticated dual band VHF, UHF FMs, right? Where you actually have the dual volume controls, and you've got that on this. Two different volume controls on the front panel. An optional cooling fan. Now, this is interesting. Necessary for comfortable FT8 operation, because they know people are going to go out there. They're going to try to run 10 watts running FT8, really taxing out that final that's in there. Then we've got the RF front end low noise reference oscillator. This leads me to think that it is going to be based on the FT710's receiver, which is, by all accounts, and Sherwood rates it so highly that this is an extremely capable receiver. Effective QRM rejection. This is kind of nice. So the contour and APF. Chris, with your Yaesu, do you have the contour on there?
Stand by. I think I do. Stand by.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature that Yaesu's got built into their more recent
I have it. Yep.
DSP rigs. So there you go. Let's just actually let me go back to the comments. Let's see what people are saying. All right. Here's Philip. If the 1F lacks spectral averaging, and I'm pretty sure it will, Philip, because Yaesu hasn't been all over that, like the other current Yaesus with fish finders, then definitely pass on that item alone. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that on here. Who knows, but we're speculating. D-expeditions are almost always split. Okay, Rob, that's right, but you can use a single receiver. You can just offset, and you don't need two dual receivers to do that. I'm not a DXer, so I'm not the ultimate.
I don't know if I see this rig as being like a D-expedition is not going to rely on a little radio like this.
No, I'm thinking if you're a chaser, Rob is thinking it might have value in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Forget Your Life. I bet the other VFO mutes when transmitting, though. I don't think it will be full duplex. Yeah, it makes sense to me. because you can't transmit. Well, you've only got one microphone port. You've only got, it's like, so I think that must be true. Mind you, if you're thinking about digital out of one, and then, yeah, interesting. Mike, N2MAK, new radios are always a good thing. Competition can help drive innovation. Absolutely true.
Mike's so nice, isn't he?
That's
Mike's
a
got something
very,
good to say. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, very nice. Plus, it's just nice to have options for different features and prices.
Here I'm trying to be all curmudgeonly, and he goes.
Okay, Arnold says the breaking deal would be if you could TX on uplink and receive on downlink or not. I just changed my Rig Expert AA35 zoom to mono inverted black and white color. Looks good. Thanks for the tip, Tracy. Yeah, no problem, Evan. Rob again. My Kenwood TMD0700 dual band, which I have set up as a remote, has full dual VFOs. Either can be on VHF or UHF. Forget your life. IC705 doesn't need a fan with 10 watt FT8. Thanks for that information. Mike, N2MAK, serious question. Has Yaesu had an issue with heat dissipation before on an older radio? I saw some comments about it online when it revealed a fan was recommended for FT8. Tim, you're nodding your head?
I think it was, what's the little small one that they did that? It was the smallest 100-watt radio or whatever it was.
The FT100 was that?
Yeah, I thought one of those. It was. I knew there was a heat issue with those, and I think the early 817s had heat-sensitive finals in them too, didn't they? Isn't that the issue?
They had finals that were that would self-oscillate if you kept the internal battery in it, rather than switch it off or. So I'm not aware of an overheating issue with those.
Well, with electronics like that, I mean, heat's always going to be an issue relative to size, right? I mean,
especially if you're using it outside and it's in the baking sun. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take a look at some other stuff here, because I think this is interesting. Now, the rig is coming with a whole bunch of accessories available. So number one. Okay, I'm a cheap ham, I guess. I sort of am, and I'm sort of not, and I'm a bit of a Luddite, as you guys know.
We're all cheap hams. Let's face it.
And you set the bar for us, and
that's one of the questions on the exam.
What question is that, Chris?
That's one of the questions on the exam. Are you cheap?
Are you a cheap ham? Yes or yes.
Here's your ticket. Okay. So we've got a bunch of add-ons. Now, I think across the top here, we're looking at different battery packs. I'm sorry.
It's in Japanese.
It's in Japanese, so I can't read it, and there are some other things going on. But you've got battery packs, you've got an antenna tuner, and you've got a fan, which is an option. All right. So, and you've got some weird things down here. These two things down here, I'm not quite sure. Now, I don't know if that's the fan or not, what the deal is, but and the question is, can you put a big battery pack on it? Can you put a tuner on it? Can you put a fan on it? I don't know if all those are, whether there's only certain combinations which are allowed. It'll be interesting to find out. All right. So there's that. Whoops. Okay. So we've got heading backwards here. Okay. Take a look here. I took a lot of heat. I released a video earlier this year, and I put my flak jacket on when I released it, and I invited people for their comments, and I got comments. Boy, 5 worst features of the ICOM 705, and I was told, no, you can't put an additional antenna port on there. The rig's just too small. They'd have to re-engineer the whole thing. Hey, Yaesu found a way on a rig that's probably not that much different in size than the 705. So, doing one of those guys. The other thing that I thought was interesting. Well, what do you know? Something else that I took heat for. I wanted a real microphone jack. There's a real microphone jack on the new Yaesu. So you don't have to use this crappy little speaker mic with these 2 awful little connectors that go in that are kind of janky. You've actually got a proper microphone. You've got the ability to use a full-sized hand mic. So somebody with huge meat hooks like I have doesn't have a problem grasping this little wee thing and getting, getting repetitive strain injury from holding this this little thing. Okay, my rant is off.
Well,
But
it sounds to me like Yaesu watched your video.
On some things, absolutely right. Now, what
The least they could do is send him one.
the least they could do.
Yeah.
But here's a look at the back panel now. So you can see where, over on the left-hand side there's that little opening where the accessories latch on.
Mhm.
Now, what is intriguing to me here is I guess I know why they didn't do it. But what I would like to have seen is some sort of multi-connector on the back, so that when you, for example, when you pop on a tuner, you don't need to run a little pigtail going from the here. You've got two pigtails, so it looks like there's probably a cat connection and an antenna connection there. So you got two pigtails running around. It would have been kind of nice if they could have figured out some kind of a custom connector so that when you snap that on, you didn't need those pigtails. Because what do I think when I think pigtails? I'm thinking, okay, if I'm thinking of this as a field radio, and I am, right? And I'm sure there are people out there thinking, no, this is just going to stay at home in the shack. It's a cool little rig. And I get that. But if you're out in the field, you're moving this thing around, you're plugging and unplugging stuff constantly, and you're not necessarily, you might have a bunch of stuff on the picnic table, you slide the thing back, there's going to be strain on those connections. It's something else to fail.
Right.
And if you're paying,
No, I don't know, because I think if you had something automatic to disable the antenna port on the back as soon as you plugged that in, right? How would that work? Are you going to disable that circuit? I mean, it's not an SDR, right?
Okay, all right. It is an SDR.
Okay.
Right. This is an SDR radio for sure.
Can you disable that through software? I don't know.
Let me. So you certainly could. Think back to the FT8-17, for example. You've got two antenna ports, and you've got the ability through software to switch which one you're using.
Right.
So you can definitely switch them via software.
Well, here's a question I've got. Now, I'm guessing that's the optional antenna tuner on the back?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now.
Where then does the battery go?
So here you go. That is a very good question, Chris. So let's take a look here. That's a battery pack.
Yep.
Now that's their 5 amp hour battery pack. It's a good size. Beats the heck out of the ICOM. The ICOM comes with somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe a 2 amp hour. You can buy a 3 amp hour for it. That's one of their HT batteries. This is a 5 amp hour, so that's a significant step up. That means you're probably going to be able to run this thing for 5 hours or maybe even longer. But yeah, you don't see any provision here, Chris, for adding something onto the back of that.
Unless the tuner's got the battery pack in it, which
there's the tuner.
Like it, but it could
look like it.
Smaller, right?
Yeah. Huh.
Hey Terry, I've been talking a lot. Any thoughts on what you're seeing so far?
Well, just what Chris said. What are you going to do? What about the battery pack and the antenna tuner? Why can't you put that on there? And I would be concerned about cables. It depends on how you're doing your portable operations. I set up on a knee board, and I try to keep things as simple as possible. I don't want a bunch of stuff sticking out all over the place. You just never know what's going to happen when you're out. What might distract you, or you look in something else. So I like things as clean, as simple, with as few things to catch on stuff as possible.
Yep.
All right, let me just, I want to catch up on some comments that we've got in. Hey, check this out. We got Pavel, VA4 ADM. Hey, thanks for joining us from Manitoba, Pavel. Great to have you on board. Shane, I do like the possible options for the FTX-1F. Big fan of modularity. Being able to kit up a radio for the needs of an activation has a lot of potential for me. I agree. The customizability on this is nice. Hey, here's Mike. Tracy's 705 video is great. I still love the radio, but it's not perfect. None of them are. Hey, thanks, Mike. But you're right. I don't have a perfect radio. Leave him alone. He's a good guy.
That's not what you said last time.
Look at this. Rob Noakes. Even the 7300 doesn't have dual antenna ports. My 20-plus-year-old Kenwood TS870 does. Yep. Mike, having the pigtail makes it easier to use a non-Yaesu tuner, though. I get that, but if you were going to use a non-Yaesu tuner, you wouldn't. You've still got the antenna port there to be able to connect it. You could you're not going to use a non-Yaesu tuner with having the Yaesu tuner snapped onto the back. Sort of what I'm thinking, Mike. Let's take a look at what Pavel is saying. IC 705 has an upper hand, nice and proper spectrum scope, and it's a beautiful spectrum scope on the 705. Absolutely. I see an SO 239 on the back. Yeah, that's on the tuner. That's the tuner that's bolted snapped onto the back here. And here's the actual antenna port. Let me put it this way. Here's the actual antenna port up here, and the little cable running around to the rig side of the tuner.
Well,
hey, Rob, I think Rob's in Teri's camp here. Stick with Elecraft.
I think this is a big form factor change for them, though, too, right?
Yeah, it is.
You got. So I guess when you want to go down this path, I mean, some sacrifices have to be made, or some choices have to be made. So,
yep.
I assume from that USB port on the side, is there a power option for that too, or?
Well, there is an external power option, Tim.
Okay,
Let me
you've got external battery and a tuner instead of the battery pack, right?
I think that's an SD card slot we're looking at there.
Right there.
Where are we at? Okay, down below. Do you see the bottom right there?
13, okay.
Yeah. So we do have a number of ports there. All right. Let me just forget your life. And I keep forgetting your call sign. Please forgive me for that. A big battery like that should be able to do 10 watts, but it's restricted to 5 watts only unless the battery is external. Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you, because your external battery could be a 3 watt or a 3 amp hour or a 5 amp hour, right? I thought I saw on the PR sheet that you could stack a couple of things on back. No, you didn't, Arnold. Absolutely, you can. And I've got a photo here which shows a couple. Let me see if I find that photo. There's a couple right there. Yeah. So I think what we're looking at here is the fan. Yeah. That's the optional fan. And then this is the tuner on the back. Okay, Prep Ham Paul says you can change the FTX scope from 3D to standard flat like other waterfall scopes. Yep. Although the big deal here, Prep Ham Paul, is that a lot of the ICOM guys love the averaging. The Yaesu one is a bit fidgety, I guess. It's like it's kind of frantic in comparison, because it's constantly updating, and you can only slow it down so fast. It's really something. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up with some of the others. Okay, here we go. Tracy? Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't use rigs that have the waterfalls on them. What is the advantage of having a 3D waterfall?
I am going to ask some of my viewers to chime in here. If you take a look at the screen going on behind me, Teri.
Yeah, I've been watching that.
What you've got is it's a bit of a history. So you can go up to something like 10 seconds back and see if somebody was on that frequency and move over to that frequency. Now, ICOM does something similar. It's just not this same 3D effect that you see. This is a Yaesu. It's not the same 3D effect there. And a lot of hams have said, hey, this 3D thing, it's bugging my eyes. I don't
headache
like
for sure.
it at all.
You know, the cheesy one on the T90 is fine for me. I mean, it does what I want it to, right? So I want to look and see if a frequency is open or something, or if there's a strong signal on the band. I can either, go to it or go away from it.
Yeah.
But
does that answer your question, Teri?
It's only a little, 3x3 thing.
It does. So it's the history more, which you wouldn't see on a traditional 2D waterfall.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Right. Exactly. Okay, let's see what Mike says. I'm not a big fan of the 3D and usually switch it when I'm using my Club 710. I don't mind it. I don't mind it a bit. But then again, I'm not one of these guys that says my rig has to have a spectroscope. I've used so many rigs for so many years without that. To me, it's there, but it's not something I go crazy over. All right, so standard flat. He's saying the 3D does allow a longer view of history. Thank you. Prepham Paul is also saying, yeah, that's the fan and the tuner. Here's Philip. I expect that this radio will be just as fragile as the 705, and folks are waiting on exact dimensions to manufacture aftermarket protective cages. Can this radio get wet and have an IP67 rating? I'm going to come right out and say absolutely not.
For sure not. No.
Could possibly do that. And I want to say something. I want to give you my thoughts on those cages that they sell for the 705. So I don't know if you've seen these, Terry, but you can buy these add-on cages. They're literally like, if you've ever used cameras where you can buy a cage to go around a camera to attach things onto and whatnot, they're
Right.
kind of similar to that. In fact, one of the major camera cage vendors has made one for the 705, and they're sold as protective cages. I don't think they're all that protective, to be honest. And the reason I say that is, well, you might keep the radio from getting scratched, but it's not going to shield it from protection. My phone, for example. All right, my phone, I've got what they call a life-proof case on here.
Mhm.
Now, this is completely sealed it. If I could throw this onto concrete, 10 feet away, and it'll be completely undamaged because there's a dampening mechanism in here, right? It will absorb the blow so that the electronics inside don't do that. I haven't seen any cages for the 705 that dampen the blow. There's a reason why cars aren't made anymore the way they were made back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, where they figured, well, if we make this big box big and strong enough, people aren't going to get hurt. That turned out not to be true. So they built all this crumpling effect into it so that the body of the car could absorb the force without the people inside being subjected to it.
Well,
That's why I think these cages are not.
No, the cages are primarily there to protect like the knobs and things, right? Because if you've got say you have this radio and you can put a barrier off to the sides, it'll prevent something from falling on it or it falling and smashing the knob or cracking the screen or doing anything like that. I don't think you can expect any more than that. I mean, you're not going to get a full-on inertial dampening box for these kinds of things.
Right.
These radios are just a reflection of people who want to take their FTX-3000 out in the field and can't, right? So they come up with all the doodads with it. But
right.
I'm not a believer in them. In the cages, I think they're a waste of money because first and foremost, you have to take care of your gear. You've got to protect your gear. If you knock that thing off the table onto concrete or whatever other hard surface, and it drops 4 feet, 3.5 feet down, that radio is going to take some impact. And
we made some protectors for Chris's 817, I think.
Yep.
I mean, they're reasonable, right?
Yeah.
But what
it's similar to like Terry, on the side of your KX, right? You've got like little tabs on the sides of that on each end, right? Isn't that how the radio, the aircraft come with that? I think built into them.
I don't remember. I do have some protective like Lexan case that I can put on it, and I haven't installed that yet.
Yeah, but I think they come with like these little ears that go on like each end of the control panel, like the top of the top of the radio, right? So if it fell off the table, it wouldn't land on a knob; it would hit that little ear first rather than landing on the knob, which is the same thing like what Tim made for me. It's like for my 817, it's got just on each end, it's got little like ears on it. So if it did fall, it wouldn't hit the volume control or the tuning knob. It would just hit the ear. So, yeah. But Tracy, you're right. You got to take care of
me on more than one occasion, though, having those little ears, right?
Sure.
Because I drop things.
Yeah.
So it.
And look, you're carrying it around in a bag. You throw it in the bag. You don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that ICOM 705, that cost me close to $2,000 Canadian. Okay, that's my money. You better believe I'm babying that.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's. Have you ever seen those YouTube videos where the guy pulls up a pencil, and he's got the pencil like right next to the screen, and I'm thinking, if anybody ever did that to my radio, that person would get a punch in the mouth. Nobody is gonna put a pencil or any other sharp object anywhere near my radio.
You see, and I have my, well, Phil has my G90 now, but I have my G90, and I just don't worry about things like that, because if something catastrophic were to happen to it, it's easily replaceable.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And Chris, the little rig you got, the G90,
The G106.
the G106.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
if I drop that, it's disposable. Just throw it out and get another one.
Absolutely. Okay, let me catch up with some.
Terry,
If it were me out there, I mean, if I was just going to do CW and that was all I did, I'd just carry like a mountain topper or something, you know. I would.
Yeah. Terry, I picked up Tracy's idea. I usually run a FT817, and
Indeed.
right, and that's my main like QRP POTA radio. But I picked up, just to have a backup radio, I picked up the Zygu. I think it's the G106. It literally is like $230 radio, right? It's not great. It's not. In fact, I did an activation with it, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. But I look at it like it's a backup radio. So if for some reason after the 817 just dies for some reason, and I've got everything else set up, hey, I'll grab this, I'll throw it on the air, and I'm on the air, right? So that's what I'm saying. If I drop that, I mean, it's kind of like,
what did you pay for it? What was it, like $150?
No, it's like $200 something. But it's like, what do you think Zygo's going to fix it? No, they'll throw it in the trash and then send me another one. So it's like, it's not like you're going to break out into tears if you drop the thing. Where if you drop your KX or Tracy drops his 705, the world comes to an end.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Honestly, I'd love a KX2 or KX3. I'm scared to death of breaking the thing. I wouldn't want to leave it. I wouldn't want to take it out of the house. I wouldn't want, I would.
Yep.
Hey, let me catch up with some comments.
With it, I've got a nice padded protective case from Elecraft. I keep it in.
That is so easy to say. I'll just be careful with it. Yeah, that'll do. That'll salve my antennas when after I break it. Well, I just didn't take care of it. That's what my mom would say, right? That's what my mom and dad would say after I crash my bike or something. Well, you should take better care of it.
That's Tim's artwork.
Thanks, Mom.
If I drop this rig, the volume control's safe.
Yeah, there you go.
Everything's safe, right?
The rails on the side.
Yep. Works fine.
And by the way, that's why Tim's antennas are so well made. They're so robust. Dog attack aside, because he's constantly dropping things. He knows he's got to build them to a certain quality standard.
Oh yeah,
right.
All right, let me catch up on some comments here.
Not quite still quality, but
here's the side.
Oh yeah.
So see, if I drop this, it kind of has ears kind of built in.
Well, if you drop it, you should take better care of it.
Right. But it's a metal case. I mean, I have to drop it on its face to really do anything with it. So anyway,
all right, let's just run through some of these comments.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah, ham radio channels are all becoming paid ads for gear. All the reviews are. With a quick disclaimer, not saying this one.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. All right.
Listen. I sympathize. One of the reasons why I never wanted to do anything on YouTube, other than like with you guys, was because how on earth do you keep pumping out content? Our guest is lucky because she's kind of just started down this road. How many videos do you have? Maybe a dozen or so.
I have 8. I have 8.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to upload another one at the end of this week.
Let's check back in after like the 25th or 26th video and be like, okay, what am I going to do? What's my next one, right? And
it is, and I think about that. I'm always going, how am I going to keep up with the creativity with the content? But this is the challenge.
And people got to keep putting stuff out there, and especially if you think there's like 1, 2, or 3 guys that I can think of, they got to, they're doing 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, stuff like that. I think sooner or later, to be in that tier, you have to accept some of the things that come with it. And a lot of that is going to be people who are sending you stuff to do with it, and
A lot of those, you know, a lot of
Wait.
those videos
That's
lately
you know,
have
it's show business, right? It's not show friends.
Yeah, a lot of those videos become talking heads on a lot of things too. Like, you know, let's get on the air and complain that the logbook of the world is down again. And okay, we'll talk about it for another 25 minutes and put a video up. It's like, all right, who cares? Everybody knows it's down. So, you know, I don't have to get on air and tell everybody, oh,
Sounds like 80 meters,
down,
you know?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're in danger of becoming 80 meters ourselves. Let me move down some of these comments. Pavel, I wish Yaesu would come up with an FT891 update. Mic and key ports are on the head, not on the body. Same size, plus or minus, and an antenna tuner. I would order it right there. I like that form factor, Pavel. I gotta say, I think there's a market for something like that. And the 891 is built to a standard where, you know, you can be a little bit rougher with a package like that. So I'm kind of feeling what you're saying here. Okay. Let me take a look. Philip, I played with man packs when I was good looking, young, and had brown hair.
What was that?
You get wet, immerse, dunk, no worries. Now, is he talking about himself or the man pack? No waterfall in my shack except for WSJTX.
There you go.
Don, does it pass the 3-foot drop test onto a rock? Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Here we go with Philip again. I'd love an ANPRC 515 20-watt Collins, but old and chock full of unobtainium parts. Isn't that the sad thing? Let me see here. So Mike's talking about the G90. It's nice that the G90 comes with the add-on handles on the front to help protect the knobs. It's not much, but it's something, and would be nice to see that from others.
And I will say that the G90 did pass the 3-foot drop test onto a concrete shop floor by me, and there was no issue. So,
okay. All right.
I didn't want to tell Phil that before I gave it to him.
What I'm going to say, you know, again, alluding to the fact that my dad used to call my hands meat hooks. I need a little bit of space when I'm grabbing like a tuning knob. Put those handles in the way is things just got a little bit tougher. And you know the way with these portable rigs, you know, you got these little buttons around the tuning knob and around the other side as well. This becomes a little bit more ergonomically challenging. Hey, maybe that's a first world problem, but that's my take on those. They're not ergonomic. Let's see what Pavel has to say. The best cage for IC705 is the QCX Mini. Okay, and he's thinking exactly the same way that you guys were, for sure. Here we go, Traveling Ham. We need a channel to drop test radio. Yes. Yes. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm putting my hand up. If manufacturers want to send me a sample of their radios, I will get up on a ladder and I will drop onto a concrete surface and we'll see what happens.
You know what you could do though is you could just do like a GoFundMe or something. You know.
You have a new niche there, Tracy.
Yeah. Or do like a super chat, do a super chat thing to drop your 705. See what happens.
Okay, what do we got? NM5 RF. That's why I'm excited to get some QRP Labs kits. Cheap enough, and there's going to be an SSB firmware update someday. Maybe. No fear of throwing it in the bag. I like that. John, WV3L. Hey, John, what kind of rig does POTA Babe use? We talked about that earlier. It is, Teri?
The KX2.
And you love it.
I love it. I'm very happy with that, but it's not inexpensive. And I do try to be very careful with it, like we were talking about.
Yep. Okay, I want to ask you this because I don't think I got it out of you earlier. What's the chief drawback? Do you have a pet peeve about it or a frustration about it you'd like to share?
No. I like it. I did have to, being used to my Yaesu, which was so menu driven, going down into menus and figuring things out. It was different, and you know the menus are oriented different. But I'm happy with it. It's a great little rig.
Awesome. That's a fantastic testimonial. Thank you. Okay, let's go and see. POV cage best feature on IC705 is the handles. Those radios can be slippery. I haven't seen that myself, but I know what you're talking about. You know, take a look at the surface on the smooth edges on the FTX-1F whatever. It's not knurled, it doesn't have some kind of a grain on it, which would ease in, some cameras, they actually have that finish on them to make it just a little bit easier to hold in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else we got here? See if I've got. Just gonna look down. Okay, I think we're pretty much caught up. That. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. I just reloaded. Okay. Okay. What do we got? VT Radio. Got a call tonight here. Have to work in the morning. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Bye, Paul.
Okay. Philip is saying, Mike, but still fragile. I snatched the speaker jack off the headboard of my G90 when my leg caught on the cord. Oh,
you really need to take better care of your stuff, Phil.
Jeez. Okay. We got Gary from London, Ontario, VE3 XDM. Thanks for joining us, Gary. FT897, still my favorite portable. And let me tell you, it's got a spot in my heart.
Nothing wrong with
Folks,
that.
We are, I don't think we've ever gone so long, so hard. And we're at the 1 hour and 55-minute mark. Teri, you got to get up in the morning. I've got to get up in the morning. I think we put a bow on this. So let me just do this and come back over here. Teri, thank you very much for being a guest. We've really appreciated having you. You've been a wonderful person to have on. Love your story, love your enthusiasm, your passion for radio. It's been wonderful. Thank you. Any last thoughts from you before we wrap this up?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. I've actually never done anything like this before, and you guys are a great group.
No, you're
I
natural.
learn about harmonicas and antennas, and what was the other thing called? A theremin?
Jazz. We hate jazz. That was it.
Theremin.
That's the other takeaway. The other takeaway is jazz is horrible. God.
Theremin. So, I added a new word to my vocabulary. So this was a fun time. So thank you guys for having me.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Chris, final thoughts from you?
No, all good. We definitely had to talk about a lot of stuff. Teri, great having you with us, and nice to meet you. And good luck with your channel. It's
thank you.
You're gonna do just fine. You've got the right on-camera presence, so you're gonna have fun with it. So.
And I'm not doing radio reviews, right? So equipment
That's
reviews.
Right.
So maybe
That's
I can find my own niche to do something different.
You got some cred.
But listen, if you do, for any reason, any piece of equipment comes across and somebody says, hey, can you do it? You got to be fully honest with it and say, you know what? I don't like this and I don't like that.
Right.
It's okay to do that.
Good stuff. Chris, anything from your side before we bail?
It's Tim's turn.
Okay, Tim, over to you. I'm getting tired. Now you're seeing it come to life. Tim.
Wow, pack it in.
Pack it in?
Yeah.
Okay. To everybody who's watching this, who watched it live with us, thanks so much. Your comments really made this come to life. We really appreciate it. Teri, thank you so much. I envision a day where hopefully, in the future, we can invite you back on and do this again.
Well, when I do my mini DXX expedition, you guys will have me back, right?
Absolutely.
Here's how this goes. Here's how this works. See, Tracy picks them out early. Like he got Walt on a couple of years ago, and the Tech Prepper, and a couple of those guys back when they only had a few hundred subs and stuff like that. And then as soon as they do, Tracy's stream here, they all blow up. So look forward to.
Yeah.
Just remember where he came from. That's all I can say.
I will do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Great having you with us. And please join us next month. We're going to have Shane, Scout 75, joining us, and I think we're going to have a fabulous
that'll be fun too.
for that.
Yeah.
Get over to Teri's channel, please. Yeah. The POTA Babe. Get over there, subscribe, check her stuff out on qrpeer.com. And I know you're going to do absolutely fabulous from here on out, Teri. Thanks all. 7-3. Until next time. Get out of the shack, get outdoors and get on the air. 7-3.